Hi everybody, welcome to our Mindfulness Workshop. We are happy that you are taking the initiative to learn about mindfulness. Being mindful makes it easier to savor the pleasures in life as they occur, helps you become fully engaged in activities, and creates a greater capacity to deal with adverse events. Now that we know a little bit about mindfulness, let's get started. For this workshop, we will start by discussing a few of the reasons why we might have difficulty being mindful by talking about the evolution of how the mind has evolved. We will then go over what mindfulness is and how it differs from meditation. We will also discuss the key principles underlying mindfulness as a practice. We will then go over a few different simple and practical ways to practice mindfulness. Lastly, we will discuss the benefits of mindfulness and how it can positively impact one's life. Why do our minds wander? Why is it so hard to focus? Am I more distracted than those around me? If these are the questions that are coming up for you, then you've come to the right place. There are numerous reasons why we might struggle to keep our attention in the present and why our minds wanders. Today, we'll talk a little bit about how the human mind has evolved over time and how and why our minds tends to replay events from the past and why it gets caught up in predicting the future. Firstly, the mind has evolved to perceive threat. In the past, this was adaptive because it allowed us to perceive predators and risks in the environment and survive them. In the present, we may perceive non-life-threatening factors as stressful. We subsequently may engage in worry and predict worst-case scenarios. For example, if I don't succeed on the exam, it will be the end of the world as I know it. The mind has a tendency to replay events in the mind. In the past, if we evaded or successfully defeated a threat, we would replay the memory as a way to perfect that survival strategy. In the present, we may replay painful memories when there's nothing to learn. For example, as I try to fall asleep, I remember that awkward time when the teacher called on me for a response and I didn't have anything to say. The mind compares us to others. This comparison was helpful in the past because it helped us adjust our behavior to fit in with the social group and thereby increase our chances of survival. For example, if we are isolated, we are more susceptible to predators and threats in the environment. In the present, comparing ourselves to others still happens, and this isn't always constructive. We are no longer comparing ourselves to a small of similar individuals. Instead, we are using social media to engage in unrealistic comparisons with large groups of people, which leaves us feeling inadequate. Lastly, the mind helps us prioritize needs. In the past, it identified priorities, the need for more water, food, better shelter, to meet our basic needs and improve living conditions. In the present, we often feel dissatisfied with what we have and are often wanting more because our minds is able to anticipate not just the needs, but more and more of the wants. Example, I will feel better when I have a partner, and when I have that, I won't be satisfied until I have a house. Hopefully, by considering how and why the mind has evolved, this allows you to see the survival benefits of having a wandering mind. The pace and chaos of modern life intensifies these thought processes that may have been helpful for us in our evolutionary history. When our mind is being unhelpful, remember that it is not defective or abnormal. It is doing what it has evolved to do. Given that the same survival threats are not present in our modern day world, and there are more costs than benefits to focusing on the past or future, we might consider that a new way of responding to our internal and external world may be beneficial. This is where mindfulness comes in. So let's talk about what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. A mindful state is characterized by awareness turned inward. It involves being present with one's inner experiences of thoughts, feelings, sensations, and images. It involves intentionally approaching this inner experience with alertness, openness, curiosity, and exploration. It seeks to simply be aware of what is, as opposed to attempting to do, change, or confirm anything. It also involves cultivating non-judgmental observation of the ongoing stream of internal and external stimuli as they arise, moment by moment. Cultivating mindfulness allows us to respond to internal and external stimuli rather than react. In the last decade, mindfulness has become a very popular term, and therefore there are a lot of misconceptions about it. So let's take a few minutes to differentiate what mindfulness is and what it is not. Mindfulness is a process and a way of relating to one's mind. It is a way of paying attention that can be learned and cultivated through practice. Mindfulness is the act of noticing and becoming aware of when our minds have moved away from the present with the intention of bringing it back. Mindfulness does not mean that we are constantly present 100% of the time. The very act of bringing back our mind to the present when we've noticed it has wandered is mindfulness. It is about being with our experience as it happens moment by moment. When you are mindful, you are not zoning out from your experience or thoughts. Being mindful is quite the opposite. It is not passive, but rather active in the sense that you are working on guiding your mind back to the present. Mindfulness does not involve detaching or avoiding your feelings or thoughts. It involves creating space for difficult thoughts and feelings and approaching them with curiosity and openness so that you can respond to them rather than reacting to them or feeling overwhelmed by them. Mindfulness can be incorporated into religion or spirituality, but its origin does not stem from them. Mindfulness is not about being calm. There may be beliefs that mindfulness will bring peace within us, but it is not a guaranteed outcome. Mindfulness focuses on noticing any experiences we are feeling at the moment, including thoughts, sensations, and emotions. The byproduct of mindfulness may be feelings of calmness, but this isn't guaranteed a result, nor is the intention of mindfulness. Mindfulness is not an escape from reality. Mindful practices allows us to be more aware of our issues that need to be addressed or are in need of the most attention. And mindfulness provides a method to explore our pleasant experiences as well as the hardships with acceptance, curiosity, and emotional balance. There are many ways to practice being mindful, and meditation is only one of its many formats and methods. Mindfulness is not the same as meditation. Meditation can have many purposes, including relaxation, reflection, calming the mind, and much more. When mindfulness is practiced as meditation, it is not with the intention of achieving a state of relaxation or to get rid of one's thoughts or clear your mind. Rather, the intention is always for present moment awareness through connection to oneself. There are both formal and informal practices of mindfulness. Formal practice refers to taking a period of time, at least 5 minutes, where our sole focus is mindful meditation. It is generally helpful to do so when alone and in a place of relative quiet while sitting or lying down. Commonly, mindfulness meditation is done in a more of a formal practice. However, mindfulness can also be practiced informally, which means it can be practiced at any given moment, even for brief instances. For example, it can be done while washing the dishes, cooking, waiting in the line, eating, and much more. There are 7 guiding principles to consider when practicing mindfulness that serve as a backdrop and reminders as you begin to practice. We will go over each quality in the next couple of slides. First is non-judging. Mindfulness is compassionate, open-hearted awareness. It is cultivated by taking the position of an unbiased, attentive witness to your own experience as it occurs in the present moment. Oftentimes, our mind generates unhelpful stories or thoughts, and we may judge ourselves of past actions or for even ruminating on these stories. The habit of categorizing and judging experience locks you into patterns of reacting and repeating thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. The idea of non-judgment invites you to begin to relate to the stories your mind creates without judgment. Judging acts to separate you from the direct experience of each moment and from the unfolding reality of life. When you practice mindfulness, it is important to recognize the judging quality of mind and identify the judgmental thinking as it arises. It is equally important not to judge the judging. Simply note that judging is present, perhaps by naming it, there is judgment. Next, we have patience. Patience is the ability to bear the experience of difficulty with calmness and self-control. It requires faith and courage. Patience also requires a degree of kindness and compassion for yourself as you experience the distress of the situation. Often, impatience arises when the ego, the self-centered part in each one of us, screams for things to be different than they actually are. There is a certain wisdom that supports patience. This wisdom recognizes that things have a life cycle of their own and that the ego is not always calling the tune. As you learn to rest more and more with this truth, your patience will grow even stronger. To become more patient, you must learn to recognize impatience. Notice any tendency to rush through one moment to get to the next. To practice beginner's mind means to open to the experience in each moment as if meeting it for the first time. Imagine the wonder of a child as she encounters something for the first time. The first smell of the flower, the first drop of rain, the first taste of an orange, all are experienced without the intermediate layer of expectation, comparison to the past, or belief that we know what will happen. These moments are experienced just as they are, in the now, directly, as a smell or touch or taste, as sound or sight. In truth, each moment is unique. Though you may have experienced 1,000 sunsets, you have not experienced this particular sunset. The same is true of a lifetime of in-breaths, or in the 100th time you taste your favorite dessert. This particular breath and this particular taste have never happened before and will never happen again. When practicing mindfulness, you are asked to cultivate the same quality of your direct experience, receiving whatever arises as a unique and precious experience. To do this is to practice the beginner's mind. Next, we have trusting. A basic part of learning to mindfulness is learning to trust yourself and your feelings. You learn to trust that you can see directly what is actually happening to you. As you practice mindfulness, you will deepen your awareness of life and your own moment-to-moment experience. You will develop increasing sensitivity and accuracy in discerning what is here now and what is happening in your own body and mind, as well as what is happening around you. You will learn that you and you alone are the best person to know what is going on inside your own skin and what is happening outside of it. You do not need an expert to tell you these things. You can learn to pay attention and to be present using powerful capabilities of attention and awareness that you already have. It's important to learn to trust in your own authority to know yourself rather than look outside yourself for authority. In this process, you discover what it actually means to be your own person and to live life with authenticity. Next is non-striving. We spend so much of our lives doing things and trying to change things. This habit of doing often carries over into mindfulness, and it can be a real problem. The ego mind wants to get more of what it likes and wants to get rid of what it doesn't like. When it decides you aren't the way you should be, the ego even puts pressure on you to change you. This pressure to do and to change is synonymous with the striving or straining to be different, to go somewhere, or to do something else. The practice of mindfulness involves simply paying attention without judgment to whatever is happening. To practice mindfulness is to practice being, not doing. When you feel a sense of striving or of trying to change things, notice that without judging yourself. Acceptance is next. The process of acceptance begins with the willingness to see things exactly as they are in the present moment. Can you keep your attention focused on the here and now, taking each moment as it comes and connecting with whatever presents itself? Often, to be able to accept what comes into awareness, you must pass through periods of intense feelings such as anger, fear, or grief. These feelings themselves require acceptance. Acceptance means seeing things exactly as they are rather than as you think they are or as you think they should be. Humans have a tendency to cling to what we like or what feels good and try to reject or repel anything that we dislike or causes discomfort. Acceptance involves softening, opening up, and making space for what is here, regardless of if it's good or bad. Acceptance does not mean you have to like everything or that you have to take a passive attitude. It simply means that you are dropping the struggle with your inner experience of what might be unhelpful thoughts and feelings, which frees up space to take action and do things that are important to you. Lastly, we have letting go. Letting go is another attitude essential to mindfulness. Much of the time, people are practicing the opposite attitude, clinging without even knowing it. Often, we cling most strongly to ideas and views about yourselves, others, and situations. It is kind of like clinging on the inside. It may be difficult to see, but it is easily felt. These ideas to which you cling filter and shape your moment-by-moment experience in profound ways. When you start paying attention to your inner experience through mindfulness, you will rapidly discover which thoughts, feelings, and situations your mind seems to want to hold on to, and you will notice other things that it wants desperately to get rid of. Clinging is driven by liking and disliking and by judgments about things. As you practice mindfulness, you may notice a tendency to get caught up, whether something is good or bad, high or low, pleasant or unpleasant. Just let your experiences be what is, moment by moment. This letting be is actually a way of letting go. By not interfering, by just letting things be, we adopt a more neutral stance. Mindfulness has been shown to have many benefits to one's mental and physical health. When practiced regularly and with intention, mindfulness can help us give a much-needed pause in stressful situations so that we are responding with thought and intention rather than reacting on autopilot. Mindfulness also invites greater nervous system regulation, greater emotional balance, and a stability of mind which has great implications for our mental health. When practiced regularly, it has the benefit of reducing stress, depression, and anxiety. The mind and body are connected, and practicing mindfulness has also been proven to have the benefit of reducing blood pressure, improving sleep difficulties, and supporting physical health in other ways. There are many methods of practicing mindfulness. In the next couple of slides, we will go over a few different ways you can integrate mindfulness into your routine. Each of these methods are relatively easy to practice and can be done in a very short, easy ways or longer, more formal ways, depending on what you're looking for. The core premise of these methods is to focus your attention on your mental and physical state and connecting yourself with the environment around you. This simple practice is used to center yourself in the present moment by connecting with your body and the environment. This practice may be helpful when you find yourself getting caught up in your thoughts and feelings. So, how do you do this exercise? First, pause for a moment and look around and notice 5 things that you can see. Then listen carefully and notice 5 things you can hear. After that, notice 5 things you can feel in contact with your body. For example, a watch against your wrist, your back on the chair, your feet on the ground. The goal is to ground yourself in the present moment by using your senses. This simple exercise is used to center yourself and connect with the world around you. This exercise can take about 30 seconds or it can be stretched out to 10 minutes. Practice this exercise when you find yourself caught up in your thoughts and feelings and feel overwhelmed or distracted by them. The acronym ACE can be used to remember to practice this exercise. A stands for acknowledge your inner experience. The aim is to acknowledge whatever thoughts, feelings, sensations, memories, and urges are present. It's often useful to put this into words silently or aloud. For example, here's sadness. I'm noticing painful memories. I'm having a feeling of anger. C is come back to your body. The aim is to regain a sense of self-control by focusing on what you have most control over when difficult thoughts and feelings are present. That is, your physical actions, for example, moving, stretching, changing posture, sitting upright, walking, changing your breathing, pushing feet into floor. These things help people rapidly gain control over their bodies, which is a great first step toward any type of effective physical action. E is engage with the world. The next step is to expand on your awareness. Notice where you are, what you're doing, and what you can see, what you can hear, touch, taste, and smell. The aim is not to distract from thoughts and feelings, but to try to notice what else is here in addition to them. So let's try it together. Steps for this exercise. A, acknowledge your inner experience. So for example, you've noticed that there is an unfortunate feeling or thought that has shown up and it is pulling your attention away from whatever it is that you're doing. Let's acknowledge it by naming it. I'm noticing, I'm feeling, insert whatever thought or feeling is present. We're making room for it by acknowledging it. Next, let's come back to the body. Start by planting your feet into the floor, push them down. Notice the floor beneath you supporting you and maybe wiggling your toes. Notice the muscle tension in your legs as you push your feet down. Straighten your back and spine, sitting upright and forward in your chair. Give your shoulders a shrug and stretch your arms. Maybe experiment with pressing your fingertips together to feel the large muscles of your arms contract and your hands begin to stretch. Notice your entire body and the feeling of gravity flowing down through your head, spine, and legs into your feet. Notice that you are more than your thoughts and feelings, and that you have a body that you have control over. Next, we have engaged with the world around you. Now look around and notice what you can see and hear around you. Notice where you are and what you're doing. What can you see? What can you hear? What can you smell? Next, let's talk about mindful breathing. Step 1, choose a downtime on the LRT, sitting on your couch, laying in bed before you go to sleep. Ideally, mindful breathing is done best when you are not occupied. Step 2, shift your focus to your breathing and pick a single aspect to focus on. The rising and falling of your chest or the sensation in your nose. Keep your attention on this one aspect of your breathing, noticing the quality of your breath as it moves in and out of your body. Step 3, observe your wandering mind. As you observe the breath, you might notice your mind start to wander off into thought. This is normal. When you've noticed your mind wander, without judgment, simply name this as wandering or thinking and gently redirect your attention to the breath. Step 4, spend at least 5 minutes in this state of awareness. When your mind wanders, gently keep redirecting it back to your breath. What you will need is a time during your day when you have fewer demands on your attention. And also, here's a pro tip. Notice how your breath changes when you perform different activities and sense new stimuli. Note these changes non-judgmentally. Why does it work to reduce stress? Well, focusing on a single sensation can help a still a racing mind. Focusing on the breath can also lead us to breathe more slowly and deeply, leading to a slower heart rate and a more relaxed state. Let's talk about the practice of mindful eating. Step 1, choose a convenient mealtime when you won't be expected to socialize. Step 2, eat slowly. Focus on each sensation of your first bite in turn. Smell, sight, touch, sound, and taste. Step 3, if your mind starts to wander into thought, image, or memory, take note that your mind has wandered and gently redirect your attention to the sensations associated with eating. Step 4, immerse yourself in the richness of the practice of eating and try to eat your whole meal slowly with appreciation. What you will need for this is a meal, snack, or some portion of food at a time when you're alone and won't be expected to socialize. Here's a pro tip. Start to become consciously aware of the sensations that accompany the practice of eating, such as hunger, anticipation, salivation, and digestion. So why does this work to reduce the stress? Well, taking time to appreciate the small things we often miss can liberate us from ruminating on our daily concerns, and eating more slowly can give our bodies the proper amount of time they need for digestion to avoid some common physiological triggers of stress. Other benefits include reduced stress, improved digestive functioning, and reducing overeating. Next, we have mindful yoga. Step 1 is to set aside at least 15 minutes in a quiet, open, airy space for your yoga practice. Step 2, instead of treating your practice like a session at the gym, treat it like a meditation where you bring your full awareness to both your physical and emotional sensations as you move through the poses. Step 3, observe how the physical sensations from each pose can give rise to emotional sensations, such as release tension, leading to relaxation, or even feelings like pain, leading to frustration. What you will need for this is a yoga mat, comfortable clothing, an open, airy space. Here's a pro tip. Try reducing the number of poses and spending more time on each pose to increase the level of mindful awareness you bring to the practice. So why does it work to reduce stress? In addition to all the benefits of mindful meditation, mindful yoga also adds a physical element that provides a boost of energy and positive chemicals in the brain. And other health benefits are reduced stress, enhanced concentration, and improved memory and performance. And finally, remember to make practicing mindfulness a habit, as the best way to get the most out of your mindfulness practice is to perform them regularly. According to research, MRI scans have shown that practicing mindfulness regularly actually changes the structure of the brain, making it better wired for awareness and concentration and less prone to overly emotional responses. Reducing stress is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the myriad of health benefits of mindfulness. It can also relieve chronic pain, improve attention span, calm your body, decrease anger, improve your working memory, and much more. We invite you to take some time for yourself to slow down and practice noticing with mindful awareness while in the midst of our busy world. Focus on the present moment and try to intentionally bring an open, accepting, and discerning attentiveness as you bring this new approach into your life. If you need more support, feel free to reach out to McEwen Wellness and Psychological Services. We have also listed some links to the Peer Health Education Team website and WPS YouTube channel, which features several workshops on different wellness topics such as sleep, time management, test anxiety, and much more. We hope that you learned new mindful practices that you can integrate into your daily life. Thank you for listening to our workshop.